enveloped in, and I don't think it's just FEMA. We've seen the federal bureaucracy become overbloated and problematic in almost every sector, but in the FEMA sector, it's extremely important because when they slow down, it can cost lives and it can cost communities their ability to rebuild. I got to tell you, I think that President Trump has done what really no other president has done, is he takes the bull by the horn and says, hey, listen, we're not going to just reform it. We're going to either take it apart, restructure it, or create something new. I mean, think about it. After 20 years, we're still here again talking about it. I can tell you, I've worked alongside of Secretary Noem, both as a member of Congress and as a governor. I can think of no one better. Her team and her ability to put alliances together to fix this problem, I believe she's the best person for the job, along with Secretary Hegseth as well. It's important that he's involved in it as well, because we forget that the Corps of Engineers is underneath the Department of Defense. Phil Bryant, a Mississippi governor, he understands that as well. It's a great people. Mark Cooper, who the president has selected from Louisiana. Again, I think that it's important. I think it recognizes both their commitment and the president's commitment to FEMA, and to come down to New Orleans and to have that discussion in a city that was so affected by that bureaucracy.
Do you have a preference? Should FEMA be fixed or be eliminated?
I've always been, let's fix what's broken. What the outcome looks like. Look, in New Orleans, we know all about good seafood. We know about great cuisine. We rarely go in the back in the kitchen and ask the chef how he prepared it or what it looks like. We just want it at the end of the day to be a delicious meal. And so again, I think that's what we want out of FEMA. We want a competent and functional agency, whether it's FEMA or whatever it is. We just want it to be able to work.
And if we were to use FEMA, what could that mean for Louisiana?
Well, again, listen, everyone says, well, the president's going to do away with FEMA. He's not saying he's doing away with FEMA and not replacing it with someone. Secretary Noem, you heard her comments. You heard Secretary Hegseth's comments. The president is not, he's on the, I think, what is today? He's going to be on the ground in Texas. He was here. I would remind you all that President Trump was here during the 2016 floods when other people were playing golf. He was here during his first administration, during the hurricanes that ravaged the Louisiana coast. He has been here. He has been a president that understands natural disasters. He's also a president that respects the taxpayers. And he recognizes that there needs to be efficiencies in the program, because every dollar that's either fraudulently taken or ill spent means someone else doesn't get the services that they need. I say this all the time, but our welfare state, we don't want the needy taking from, we don't want the greedy taking from the needy. Yes,
so the emphasis has been on the states getting more control if there's, or taking more control if there's a disaster. So if we had the big one hit Louisiana, God forbid, how would that work with funding?
Well, look, I have a tremendous amount of confidence. The one thing that Louisiana can rest assured of is that we sit in the South with Texas on our right and Florida to our left, and some great states in between who understand natural disaster. That EMAC process that was talked about in the open meeting is an important meeting. That's the process that allows us to send the assets to Texas during their flood. That's the process that allowed us to send state troopers and other assets to North Carolina. Governors understand that. I think that Secretary Noem's comment that you may have missed is a very important one. The Constitution is a contract between states and the people. The federal government is a product of the Constitution. When we start understanding and respecting that again, then things will start to work a whole lot better. That will start to streamline the bureaucracy.
Governor, I remember talking to you when you were in Congress about your concerns about the flow of money, especially with the public assistance programs following Katrina. What about the delay at the state level that we saw with GOSEP not being able to get the money down and spent in New Orleans with the $2 billion for street work and all that took until now, really, to get spent.
Look, I can appreciate that. It's one of the commitments that I made as soon as I became the governor, is that we're going to start to drill down. It's not just Hurricane Katrina, it's Hurricane Rita dollars. Look, I just got a letter from someone who's dealing with a Hurricane Laura issue. The airport in Chenault in Lake Charles has been waiting on $70 million of mitigation dollars from a storm that occurred in 2020. Again, those are all great examples of why it's so important that this council get to work and get us a product. Look, I'm going to tell you, and I say this, Secretary Hegseth would understand this. In the military, they tell you that even the best plan out there doesn't survive the first contact with the enemy. Whatever they come up with will be better than what we have today. That's what I am confident of.
Question back there? I know
Oh.
you got-
Yeah.
I don't
So-
think it's you.
Okay, but hold on, let's see. We're going, well, I'm coming to you. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
So Governor, you say the product will be better. What exactly would be better? Are you hoping that FEMA takes more of a backseat to the state?
Look, I think what we're looking for is some streamlining and coordination so that we get good, clear indications about what kind of money we're getting, how it's going to be spent, how fast can we implement it. Again, there's different stages of a response. There's the emergency phase, there's a recovery phase, and then there's a mitigation phase. I think one of the most important buckets out there is the mitigation buckets. I think that we saw the effects of mitigation dollars when they're spent, especially in the Terrebonne and Lafourche area after Hurricane Francine. Everyone thought that the storm would come up and we'd have a tremendous amount of damage, but yet folks that use the fortified roof program, which helps to drive down insurance costs, those that build better using modern standards and standards that have been proven along the coast, along the southern coast and the east coast, all of those things help to make a stronger coast and mitigate the amount of dollars that taxpayers have to spend.
Yep, thanks. The National Flood Insurance Program is housed under FEMA right now, which we know has plenty of problems, but we all rely on it. Are there any concrete plans to reform that as part of this?
There better be. In fact, when I leave here, I'm going back into that meeting to speak specifically about the National Flood Insurance Program. Remember, I dealt with it as the Attorney General. The current Attorney General has a suit against him. I've been trying to wait for an opportunity for Secretary Noem to catch her breath, which hasn't seemed to happen yet, so we can get the formula that they're using. I feel very confident that when I have an opportunity to sit down with her at the table, and we're not talking about natural disasters, immigration issues, that we'll be able to work towards a solution that's good for all of America. Remember, it's not just in Louisiana that the National Flood Insurance Program is affecting homes. It's all along the coast. We have a coalition that's been built of states that are trying to break through to Congress to say, listen, we need to fix the system. It is exacerbating the problem of our homeowners insurance crisis that we have here in Louisiana. And so again, that's something that I'm going right in to talk to Governor Bryant and the group about as soon as we finish here.
Are there any more questions over here? Okay, one more. I'm still curious about funding. We've heard a lot about the decision-making for these FEMA operations being transferred to the state, but if FEMA is replaced with something else, do you have any kind of assurance that federal funding from FEMA will stay the same or will be reduced if we get another disaster?
You know, the press keeps asking those questions, and here's what I would ask you. Do you think that the President of the United States or members of Congress, certainly those in the Senate, of affecting states would not allow the money to get where it needs to be? Again, it's like y'all believe they're gonna turn the water off. No, what they wanna do, what we wanna make sure is that when they turn the water on, it's at the proper pressure and it's clean and it's efficient and it gets to us and we can place those assets where they need to be as quickly as possible. That saves us money. I'll tell you something else that we forget. The National Center for Disaster Fraud for the entire country is located right here in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, on the LSU campus. Why? Because of lessons learned after Katrina and Rita. It's another asset that we can now lean in, especially with new technologies, especially with the things that we've seen under the Trump administration of recognizing inefficiencies and waste in government. We can lean in and use that asset as well. Again, I am not convinced that the federal government is not going to be there when we need it. We're going to be able to watch it in real time after this flood here in Texas.
But Governor,
Yeah.
we do know that after Katrina, they were reticent in Congress to give money to Louisiana because of our history of corruption and all of that. And it was with the federal coordinator in place that they were willing to do it. So if you don't have federal coordination, is there a concern that maybe they'll say, well, this state shouldn't get the money?
I don't believe that. I certainly believe that it's not like, again, it's not like we're taking the federal government completely out of the process. What we're trying to do is what I think they're trying to do, and certainly what I am advocating for, is a more streamlined process. And so again, I think that those all, look, I would have liked to have spent that $2 billion a lot quicker. I would have liked to became the governor and not had $1 left over from any of the prior storms before. But again, if you don't, does it take the governor have to spend all his time in Washington to be able to get money that was allocated to the state for recovery? No, we've got way more important issues that the governor needs to be here on the ground here in Louisiana dealing with than going chase money that was promised us and to be spent anyhow.
One more final question, Sabrina.
Yes,
Okay.
Governor, so the president with Secretary Nome standing next to him recently said that he doesn't plan to phase out FEMA until after this hurricane season. You seem to have the ear of Secretary Nome. Is there anything specifically you have asked her for as we are moving deeper into this hurricane season as it pertains to readiness by FEMA to respond and in particular Louisiana?
No, look, I haven't. Why? Because I have a tremendous amount of confidence in her ability to respond to these disasters. Remember, Louisiana had a good, clear indication of the leadership that Secretary Nome exhibits when we had that terrorist attack right here on New Year's Day. She was here. She was here. The president and them were committed to making sure that we had the assets necessary. DOJ, the Attorney General Bondi was here as soon as she was sworn in. Everyone came here. They understand what a crisis looks like, and I have all the confidence in the world in them. I'll take your last question. Yes.
Thank you. So the committee members, are they actually in New Orleans? And if they are, what else are they doing outside of this building?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I mean, look, I was hoping that I know that Secretary Nome had been slated to be here in person. Of course, we all know why, right? Secretary Hegseth, I'm sure he would have liked to have been here as well, except we've got a couple of crises going on around the globe where our military men and women are in action. And so, look, I appreciate Governor Youngkin. I know he would have loved to have been here as well. He seems to be a blue chip player on the president's roster. He's been playing a number of different roles. He's been to Louisiana a number of different times. I will be seeing him hopefully next week over at either NGA. Yeah, I know I will, because we got a Council of Governors meeting over in Colorado. And so again, look, I would just rest assured the people of Louisiana that what is happening today in New Orleans is an important step in helping to build recovery when storms come. I'm continuing to pray, and I ask everyone in Louisiana to continue to pray that maybe the Gulf will be calm. Maybe, I'll say this year, and then I'll try to be a little more greedy and say for a couple of more years. I think that would help our homeowners insurance as well. I would say this last, and I want to close with this because this is important. I think this is a question and a topic that we should address throughout the rest of the year. The Fortified Roof Program is the only way that we are going to lower insurance costs in this state. The more times we can get that program in front of people, we know it, I've seen it, I've watched it work in Alabama and other states as well. I am convinced of it. The more that the legislature can lean in and work with insurance companies on that. Just last week or week before, an insurance company came into Louisiana specifically to write commercial policies because of some of the ways that we are rebuilding better. I think that the mitigation dollars that the federal government has spent, especially on our electrical grid after storms, are starting to pay off. So there is a lot of good news out of that. And you know what else? Louisianians know more than anyone else how to be resilient. I mean, think about it. 10 storms since Katrina have ravaged. And think about the people that just bear and grind it, get up, clean up, and go back to work. I have all the confidence in the world that that council being here, they're going to leave with a tremendous amount of knowledge about how things need to work for the American people. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Governor.
So are there members of the council who were here today? Like, if you
Yeah,
said something
Phil's here, and Mark Cooper's here, and the mayor from, the sheriff from Miami-Dade, and the mayor from Tampa. Yeah.